Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to our channel, Moral Tales, your ultimate destination for the most gripping and awe-inspiring survival stories from around the world. From daring escapes and extreme adventures to true stories of survival in the wild, each episode uncovers how ordinary people push themselves beyond their limits to stay alive. Whether it's the freezing tundras of Siberia, the scorching heat of the Gobi Desert, or the uncharted depths of the Amazon rainforest, we're here to take you on a journey of human resilience and courage against impossible odds. So if you're ready for thrilling tales of grit, perseverance, and survival, hit that subscribe button and join us as we dive deep into the wilderness. Slavomir Rawicz's story of survival is nothing short of extraordinary. His memoir, The Long Walk, recounts his daring escape from a Soviet labor camp in 1941 and his subsequent trek across thousands of miles of unforgiving terrain. Whether this harrowing journey is a true account or an embellishment has been debated, but the narrative itself remains a powerful testament to human endurance. For this video, we will walk through Rawicz's escape from the gulag and his survival through the Siberian wilderness, the Gobi Desert, and the Himalayas. Slavomir Rawicz was born on September 1, 1915 in Pinsk. He was the son of a landowner. He received private primary education and went on to study architecture in 1932. In 1937, he joined the Polish Army Reserve and underwent the Cadet Officer School. In July 1939, he married Vera, his first wife. She went missing during World War II. According to his account, when Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union defeated Poland, Rawicz returned home, where the NKVD, the Interior Ministry of the Soviet Union from 1934 to 1946, arrested him on 19 November 1939. He was taken to Minsk, then sent to Kharkiv for interrogation, then to the Lubyanka prison in Moscow, where he was put on rigged trial. He was tortured to make him confess to being a spy, which initially was unsuccessful. He was sentenced to 25 years of hard labor in a Siberian prison camp, ostensibly for espionage, as were thousands of others. Researchers for the BBC radio program The Long Walk in 2006 unearthed documents indicating that the charge against Rawicz might have been for killing a Soviet NKVD officer. In 1939, when Rawicz, a Polish cavalry officer, was captured by Soviet forces and falsely accused of espionage, he is sent to a Soviet gulag, a notorious labor camp deep in Siberia. These camps were infamous for their brutal conditions, where prisoners were forced to work in freezing temperatures with little food or rest. In the frozen wastelands of Siberia, Slavomir Rawicz faced what seemed like certain death. Sentenced to hard labor in a Soviet gulag, he toiled in unbearable cold, surviving on starvation rations. But for Rawicz, escape was the only option. The nights were long, and the hope of freedom was a distant dream for most prisoners. But not for Rawicz. Along with 6 other inmates, an eclectic group of men from various countries, Rawicz began planning a daring escape. They knew the odds were stacked against them. The camp was surrounded by hundreds of miles of snow, ice, and forest. But Rawicz believed that beyond the wilderness lay freedom. Escape seemed impossible, yet Slavomir Rawicz and 6 fellow prisoners were determined to defy the odds. Armed with nothing but a stolen axe, a knife, and sheer willpower, they set their sights on freedom. It was the dead of winter in 1941 when the group made their move. The guards were used to the brutal Siberian cold and didn't expect anyone to attempt an escape. But Rawicz and his companions knew it was now or never. In the dead of night, they slipped through a weak point in the fence and disappeared into the vast, icy wilderness. Under the cover of darkness, the escapees ventured into the frozen Siberian wilderness, knowing that one mistake could mean death. They had no maps, no compass, and only a handful of supplies. Their only guide was the knowledge that they had to head south, towards freedom. Surviving in the Siberian wilderness was a battle against the elements. The temperatures dropped below freezing, and the group was constantly on the move to avoid detection. Food was scarce, and they had to scavenge whatever they could find, whether it was wild plants or the occasional small animal. The Siberian wilderness was a land of extremes. With little food and no shelter, the escapees faced hunger, exhaustion, and the bone-chilling cold. At night, they huddled together for warmth, taking turns to keep watch. After weeks of navigating the Siberian wilderness and avoiding Soviet patrols, the group reached the edge of the Gobi Desert, a vast, arid expanse with temperatures that soared by day and plummeted by night. With no water in sight, survival became even more difficult. Dehydration, blistering heat, and exhaustion took their toll. They walked for days on end, desperate for water, and watched in horror as their companions began to falter. The Gobi claimed the lives of 2 of their comrades, leaving only 5 survivors. In the Gobi, the group faced the scorching heat of the day, with temperatures reaching well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, and freezing cold at night. Without proper clothing, they were constantly on the brink of heat stroke during the day and hypothermia at night. The biggest threat in the Gobi was the lack of water. The group survived on very little liquid, relying on small pools of water they found in the cracks of rocks or occasional streams. However, dehydration began to take its toll. They even resorted to eating leaves and chewing grass to get any moisture possible. Starvation was another challenge. Their food supplies were dwindling, and the barren desert offered almost nothing in terms of sustenance. At times, they survived on small portions of bread or tiny bits of meat they had carried from their earlier travels. Some members of the group died in the desert, unable to endure the relentless heat and lack of water. After surviving the Gobi Desert, the escapees faced their final and arguably most treacherous challenge, crossing the Himalayas. The towering mountains loomed ahead, representing both a physical and psychological barrier. Frostbite, altitude sickness, and fatigue threatened to kill them at every step. The escapees were at the brink of death. Malnourished, dehydrated, and by this point, the group was severely weakened from months of traveling on foot, malnourished, dehydrated, and exhausted. Yet against all odds, they climbed, driven by the hope of reaching freedom. The high altitude of the Himalayas made breathing difficult, and the group faced freezing temperatures. They had to deal with frostbite and the biting wind as they crossed over rugged, snow-covered peaks with no climbing equipment or proper cold weather gear. They had very little left in terms of food or clothing. The group relied on whatever they could scavenge from the mountains. Plants, berries, and small animals were rare but invaluable finds. They made fires from whatever wood or brush they could gather, though finding fuel for fire in such an environment was a constant struggle. Climbing the Himalayas took an enormous physical toll on the survivors. By this point, only 5 of the original 7 remained. They moved slowly, constantly battling the effects of starvation, exhaustion, and frostbite. The extreme altitude led to altitude sickness, making each step more difficult. Despite this, their resolve to reach British-controlled India kept them moving. According to Rawicz, they eventually came across local tribes who helped guide them through the mountains. This interaction was critical to their survival, as the local guides had an intimate knowledge of the terrain and helped them navigate through the most perilous paths. After months of walking and unimaginable hardship, Rawicz and the remaining survivors finally reached British-controlled India. Starving and near death, they were finally free. They were rescued by local villagers and British military personnel. By this time, they were physically emaciated and near death, but they had achieved the impossible, surviving one of the most grueling treks in human history. For Rawicz, this moment marked the end of his long journey, but it would forever be etched in his memory as the ultimate test of human endurance. Upon reaching India, the survivors were given medical attention, food, and rest. The relief of finally being free after months of enduring harsh conditions must have been overwhelming. The journey had tested every limit of their physical and mental endurance. Slavomir Rawicz and his remaining companions had walked over 4,000 miles through some of the harshest terrains on Earth. Against all odds, they reached India, free at last. Their journey was not just a physical test, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Slavomir Rawicz's story, as told in The Long Walk, has inspired generations with its message of resilience, hope, and the will to survive. While some aspects of the story have been disputed, it remains a gripping tale of endurance against overwhelming odds. Though historians may debate the exact details of Slavomir Rawicz's journey, the story endures as a symbol of survival and human determination. His long walk to freedom serves as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, hope can light the way. Thank you so much for watching this incredible survival story. We hope you were as inspired by this journey as we were. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing survival stories. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing you the most thrilling tales of human endurance. Stay adventurous, stay resilient, and we'll see you in the next one.